What happens when time becomes money and the wrong people finally get rich? Let's find out in 2011 science fiction action film, In Time. By the year 2169, people are genetically engineered to stop aging when they turn 25. From that moment on, a digital timer appears on their arm showing exactly how much time they have left to live. Everyone starts with just 1 year. To stay alive, people have to earn more time because time has replaced money. Society is divided into different areas called time zones. The richest people live in a place called New Greenwich, while the poorest live in rundown ghettos where time is always running out. Will Salas lives in one of these ghettos with his mother, Rachel. Will works long hours but still doesn't earn enough time to feel safe. He sometimes considers making extra time by getting into illegal time fights, but his mother forbids it because it usually ends badly. One night, Will goes to a bar to collect an hour someone owes him. While there, he notices a man named Henry who clearly doesn't belong in the ghetto. Henry has a timer showing over 100 years. Will warns him that gangsters called the Minutemen prey on rich outsiders, but Henry ignores the advice. As expected, the Minutemen show up, led by Fortis, and challenge Henry to a time fight. Henry asks for a moment first and heads to the bathroom with only one guard. Will sees his chance, knocks the guard out, and helps Henry escape through the back door. They hide in an abandoned factory for the night. Henry admits he's over 100 years old and left New Greenwich because he's tired of living. He explains that the system is designed so the poor die to keep the rich alive. The next morning, Will wakes up to find Henry gone. Henry has transferred nearly all his time to Will, keeping only 5 minutes for himself. Will sees Henry sitting on a bridge and realizes he plans to die. By the time Will reaches him, it's too late. Later that day, Will waits for his mother at a bus stop, but she never arrives. The bus fare had increased, and Rachel didn't have enough time to pay for it. She tried to walk home instead, but her timer ran out just as she reached Will. She dies in his arms. Meanwhile, the Timekeepers, a police force that controls time crimes, find Henry's body and assume Will murdered him. Agent Leon becomes determined to track Will down. Using the time Henry gave him, Will pretends to be wealthy and travels to New Greenwich, paying huge tolls to cross time zones. Once there, he stays in a luxury hotel, buys expensive clothes, and visits a casino. He meets a powerful businessman named Sylvia Weis and his daughter Sylvia. Will plays high-stakes poker and wins, impressing Weiss and earning an invitation to a private party. At the party, Sylvia becomes curious about Will and figures out he's not really from New Greenwich. She admits that despite her wealth, she feels trapped and bored. Will pulls her into doing something reckless, and the two start to connect. Before long, the Timekeepers arrive and arrest Will. During interrogation, they don't believe his story about Henry. They take almost all his time, leaving him with only a couple of hours. Will manages to escape by overpowering the guards and takes Sylvia hostage to get away. They flee the city together, with Leon chasing them. During the escape, their car crashes near the ghetto. Fortis and his gang find them and steal most of Sylvia's time before running away when sirens approach. Will saves Sylvia by giving her time, and she finally understands how desperate life is outside her world. They seek help from Burrell, only to learn he died after drinking too much, even though he still had years left on his timer. Desperate, Will and Sylvia sell Sylvia's expensive earrings at a pawn shop for just a couple of days' worth of time. Will contacts Leon and demands that Weiss give 1,000 years to the people in the ghetto. Leon warns Will that his father once tried to change the system too and paid the price for it. Weiss refuses to pay the ransom. Will and Sylvia hide out in Will's old apartment. Sylvia wears Rachel's clothes and listens as Will explains that his father was a skilled time fighter who secretly gave away the time he won. By the next morning, it's clear Weiss won't help. Sylvia finally sees that her family's wealth exists because others suffer. When Will tells her to go home, she refuses. She chooses to stay with him and fight the system together. Sylvia still wants to call home, so Will gives her the gun for protection while he keeps watch from a distance. When Sylvia calls, her father Weiss answers immediately. She insults him, but he ignores it and warns her that the Timekeepers are on their way. As she turns around, she sees Agent Leon approaching Will. Without thinking too much, she shoots Leon in the arm. Will checks Leon's timer and realizes that Timekeepers carry very little time on purpose, so they won't be worth robbing. Instead of leaving him to die, Will gives Leon some time so his co-workers can rescue him. Will and Sylvia escape using Leon's car. As Leon limps away, people on the street start yelling at him for failing to protect ordinary people. Things almost get ugly before another Timekeeper steps in and saves him. After driving for a while, Sylvia points out that cruising around in a police car isn't exactly subtle. That gives Will an idea. He pretends to be a timekeeper and stops a car on the roadside. The driver is a rich woman. Will and Sylvia take her time and her expensive earrings, leaving her with just one day left, and drive off in her car. Once they're far away, they stop to watch the news and learn they're now officially wanted criminals. Will again tells Sylvia she should go home, but she refuses. Back in New Greenwich, Weis lies to his investors, claiming everything is under control. Leon shows up and tells him the situation has changed. Sylvia isn't just kidnapped anymore. She's now being hunted as a criminal. Weis tries to bribe Leon into backing off, but Leon refuses. He warns Weis that if Sylvia contacts him and he doesn't report it, he'll be arrested as well. Later, Sylvia asks Will if he truly means it when he says he would give away time if he had enough. When Will says yes without hesitation, Sylvia comes up with a plan. Together, they steal one of Weis's armored money trucks and crash it into a time bank. They grab as many time capsules as they can carry and leave the rest behind for people in the ghetto. By the time the Timekeepers arrive, the place has already been emptied by the crowd. Will and Sylvia continue robbing time banks, and their crimes quickly make the news. Weis begins to wonder if his daughter is trying to destroy him. His wife coldly points out that Weis nearly destroyed Sylvia first by smothering her with control. A week later, Leon and his team locate Will's old apartment and move in to arrest them. Will hears the police chatter on the radio just in time. He grabs Sylvia, and they escape through a neighboring apartment, jumping out a back window and landing safely on a parked car below. Leon chases them through the city. When Will and Sylvia reach the rooftops, Leon opens fire. Will shoots back, but misses, so they drop down to the street and board a bus. The driver briefly considers turning them in, but Will pays him enough time to change his mind, and they manage to escape. A few hours later, they check into a hotel. Will pays extra to book every room and ensure the receptionist stays quiet. A new guest arrives and is told the hotel is full, but he catches a glimpse of Will and Sylvia heading upstairs. Not long after, Fortis and his men begin threatening people on the streets for information. At first, no one talks. People want to protect Will and Sylvia. Fortis eventually kills a man to prove he's serious. That's when the hotel guest finally gives them up. At the hotel, Will and Sylvia learn there's a bounty of 10 years on their heads, which they both find kind of insulting. Moments later, Fortis bursts into their room with his men. He explains that the Timekeepers leave him alone because he steals from his own people, not the system. Now he believes he needs to restore order. Fortis challenges Will to a time fight, claiming he doesn't enjoy killing people for no reason. Will uses the trick his father taught him, letting the opponent think they're winning. As Fortis focuses on his own timer, Will suddenly takes all his time. While the guards stand frozen in shock, Will shoots them and finishes Fortis for good. By the time the Timekeepers arrive, Will and Sylvia are already gone. Later, Will notices that prices and loan rates are rising even faster to compensate for the extra time circulating in the ghettos. Their small robberies aren't enough. To really break the system, they'd need at least 1,000,000 years. Luckily, Sylvia knows exactly where to find that. The next day, Weis heads to work surrounded by heavy security. Suddenly, the guards detect a threat, but it's just Sylvia announcing she wants to surrender. Weis believes her and moves toward her. That distraction allows Will to sneak up and take Weis hostage. They force Weis to open his safe, which contains a capsule holding 1,000,000 years. Weis argues that giving 1 year to 1,000,000 people will only delay their suffering, and that flooding the wrong zone with that much time could collapse the system. Will calmly tells him that's the whole point. They lock Weis in his office and escape. The Timekeepers immediately give chase and block the bridge to prevent them from reaching the ghetto. Leon follows closely, but is so focused on catching them that he forgets to collect his daily pay. The Timekeepers open fire, but Will ignores the bullets and drives straight through the barrier. Leon crashes his car into theirs to stop them. Will jumps out and gives the 1,000,000-year capsule to Maya. He and Sylvia then pretend to surrender. Leon thinks he's finally won, until the timeline announces there's now time for everyone. The huge crowd floods the street, blocking Leon and allowing Will and Sylvia to escape. Leon pushes through the crowd and continues the chase on foot. Eventually, he catches up to them. Will guesses Leon also grew up in the ghetto. Leon admits it and says he worked hard to escape, believing that's how things should be. He tries to arrest them. Will points out it doesn't matter. They only have minutes left to live anyway. Leon checks his own timer and realizes it's almost empty because he skipped his pay. Seconds later, his timer runs out and he dies on the road. Will and Sylvia only have moments left. They share a quick kiss, thinking it's over. Then Will realizes the Timekeepers' cars still have stored time. He runs to Leon's car and grabs some. Sylvia doesn't make it in time, so Will runs back to her, and they meet halfway, sharing time just before it runs out. Back at the company, Weis finally gives up and tells his employees to stop fighting the chaos. News broadcasts show people flooding the streets, factories shutting down, and citizens crossing zones toward New Greenwich. Authorities insist everything is under control, but no one believes it. The Timekeepers abandon their posts, knowing there's nothing left to enforce. Will and Sylvia are never caught, and they continue targeting larger banks to make sure the old system never comes back.